I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to make a video about Star Trek Online. It didn't seem right to make a retrospective since the game's been out for 15 years, but it's still active and receiving regular updates. And it didn't seem right to just do a review. There's probably a lot of those already. So I decided what I was going to do was to make a list of things that I've noticed about the game that bother me. Now, keep in mind, these are just my personal opinions. Feel free to disagree. Now, if you've watched my other videos, you know that I've made disparaging remarks about Star Trek Online, aka STO, on occasion. I have played this game off and on since day one. I have a lifetime subscription. I have multiple max level characters, and according to Steam, I've spent over 2,100 hours logged in. Now, I recently started playing again. It had been a couple years since the last time I had played in earnest, but not a whole lot had changed. So, what I want to do is make a list of 10 things about the game that really bother me. And maybe next video, I'll make a list of 10 things that the game does really well. But, it's YouTube, so controversy gets the clicks, right? Speaking of which, don't forget to like and subscribe. So here's my list of the 10 most negative aspects of the game, and it's not really in any specific order. Reason 1. Now, this is probably the big dog. This is the one that you were all expecting, and that is that the game is pay to win. This is an unfortunate symptom of being free to play. Now, without spending too much time getting into the history of the game, let's briefly say that the game was originally made by Cryptic Studios and it was published by Atari. At that point, it was not free to purchase and required a monthly subscription to play. Then Atari wanted out of the MMO game, so they sold it to Perfect World, which was a Chinese gacha game company, which immediately made it free to play and started adding gambling lockboxes and removed the subscription. This is when the game started its downward trend to that of a pay-to-win gacha game. It's not just the lockboxes that give random items. The ships themselves are very expensive. Some of the ship packs are hundreds of US dollars. The ships that you can purchase with real money are always better than the free ones. And even if you purchase a ship, you still have to pay money to buy experimental ship tokens to max out its abilities and stats. But it's not like you can just buy one ship and be happy. You have to buy tons of ships and use their paid consoles and weapons to maximize your DPS. Some of the other best items are from the low-buy store, currency that you get from opening the lockboxes. And let me tell you, it is not a good exchange rate. The top DPS builds in this game can cost you thousands of dollars. It's an absolute nightmare, just like Star Citizen. And if you want to hurry up your time-gated progress, you have to spend dilithium, which can be bought using real money or refined 8 to 9,000 per day. But basically, to do anything meaningful in this game, you have to drop some serious money. Reason number 2, the visual effects. Now, this may just be my personal opinion, but the visual effects in many modern games are out of control. Everything requires a glowing aura, electrical discharges, flashes of light, pulsating dots, massive UI text, or clouds of particles. It makes me sick, literally. Game devs seem to think that if it doesn't look like a ridiculous light show, then it's bad graphics and plain. I would love to be able to actually look at my screen and know what the heck is going on and not be bombarded by all this nonsense. I know I'm not the only person who feels this way because there are mods that remove all visual effects from the game. I mean, seriously, it's so bad in this game, it'll give you a headache instantly. Reason number 3 is the min-max meta. When games get to be this old and content is coming out much slower, it's very common for devs to just increase the stats of enemies to make it more difficult. But this just leads to missions where you are forced to have a near meta build to complete. Making a game difficult is fine. Giving you something to work towards is great. But this game does it to a degree that I've never before seen in a video game. If you don't reach a certain DPS, you are ridiculed and blocked by other players and unable to complete elite tier missions. But to reach these high DPS values, you often have to spend tons of real life money and follow internet guides. I wish it was just a little bit more viable to have different kinds of playstyles. But this goes along with my next point, which is point number 4, power creep. Games like STO that have been out for so long, well, they have to figure out ways to incentivize the players to keep going. One of the easiest ways to do this is by making the new content slightly better than the old content, so you have to keep playing to earn the new stuff. This is called power creep. The best gear in STL from 2015 is probably unplayably bad now in 2025. Another easy way to do this is to raise the max level player cap. This allows you to make entire new tiers of stuff for players to earn or to purchase. The problem with this is that it now angers players who have spent a lot of money or paid real money for the old meta gear. So this has to be done with care. When I logged in recently, my gear that was the absolute best a few years ago was now just mid-grade, and I had to unlock new reputations and upgrade it all to Mark 15 using the lithium. Although I understand why games do this, it can still be very frustrating to the player. Point number 5 is the bad fan service. I know. You're playing a Star Trek game, you want it to be Star Trek themed. But come on. This blatant, dumb fan service is painful. It's like they made an AI watch through Star Trek and then just spit out random references in the writing of the game. Every throwaway line in the show has to be referenced in the game. Oh, Chief O'Brien said he didn't like Tolarian hook spiders? Well, guess what? They're all over the game, except that doesn't even make sense. Oh, Star Trek 4 was about whales? Well, NPCs in Starfleet Academy will comment on how they see whales. Tribbles were part of a funny TOS episode and a DS9 episode. Well, guess what? They're everywhere now. It's not that I'm against being reverential to your source material, but it's done with the subtlety of a freight train, and even in areas that don't really make sense if you actually understood Star Trek. Point number 6, the painfully bad writing. I recently explained the plot of several STO story missions to some major Trekkie friends, and they asked if I was describing bad fan fiction or if I was making a joke. I mean, mere Wesley Crusher being Emperor of the Terran Empire was especially egregious. The plot of the missions of the game are generally Star Trek themed, but they just kind of miss the feeling and the point, or even the vibe of Star Trek. Star Trek was generally a positive view of the future, about mankind exploring the galaxy and helping people. Now it's basically every other pessimistic, violent, dystopian future. You can blame this on the new shows like Discovery and Picard, and to a lesser degree Abrams' Trek. In an attempt to keep Star Trek relevant, they just dumbed it down and lost what made it special. Every mission in this game consists of pulling up to a planet, destroying enemy ships, killing hundreds if not thousands of people, beaming to a planet, killing more people, then beaming back up to space to kill hundreds more people. There's no diplomacy, there's no peaceful options, there's no exploration, just violence. Point number 7 is the attempt to merge the Next Generation, Voyager, and DS9 with Discovery and also with Abrams' Trek. Do I really need to explain how awful this is? I don't need 3 different kinds of Klingons running around in the same game. Now, this may have been forced on them by CBS or Paramount. I can't say for sure, that would kind of make sense. But it's jarring playing Discovery missions in my Galaxy class, or seeing people in the Abrams Trek Dreadnought fighting Borg cubes. The timelines just don't even make sense anymore. It's depressing. I wish the game had just stayed pure to the 2409 timeline. Point number 8 is the busy work. Like many MMOs, Star Trek Online suffers from too much busy work that makes the game feel like a chore. Every day you have to sign in to all of your characters, refine your dilithium, set your duty officer missions, set your research and development missions, set your admiralty missions, complete and fill up all your reputation missions, do your daily endeavors, complete the event mission for the day's credits. After a while, this just feels like a chore. And when a game feels like a chore, that's when you know it's time to leave. Number 9. Too many reputations and currencies. Another problem with many MMOs is that there are just way too many currencies and things you have to grind. There are energy credits, dilithium, latinum, 13 different reputation marks, expertise, fleet marks, fleet credits, salvage. Now, in their defense, it's not as bad as WoW or some other games, and queuing for random missions lets you pick which reputation mark you get. But it can still be overwhelming and grindy, and games should never have time-gated progress. I mean, these aren't mobile games. Last but not least, point number 10 is about endgame variety. This game has been out for like 15 years, so there are a lot of missions to do. However, the endgame content consists of just doing the same few TFO missions over and over again. PvP is basically non-existent, and they put zero effort into making any sort of meaningful PvP content. When you queue for a random TFO, it sticks to you in like one of 5 missions that players still grind. When STO was young, it had a mission creator where you could make your own missions. That was a lot of fun. It was called the Foundry, but they ended up removing it. They also removed procedurally generated exploration missions. So now you're basically just forced to do the same few TFOs over and over again to grind reputation or money or dilithium. So those are just the 10 most egregious problems with the game that I saw. And there are a lot more, and some of these are just my opinion. Do I think it's the worst game ever? By no means. It can still be a lot of fun. But let's be honest, this game is over the hill and it's about time it be put to pasture. Perhaps once this dinosaur is gone, the opportunity for a new and better game will exist. But since the Star Trek IP is being so horribly mismanaged, I don't really hold out hope. Well, thanks for watching. If you disagree with any of these points, let me know. Or if you agree, let me know as well. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Well, have a good day, everyone.
The Undine will destroy the